y'all. Thank y'all for getting up, coming. I see y'all got the coffee like I do. Come on, bring some coffee cups. Okay. We got to do this some kind of way. I am Samson McCormick. I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Onyx, and the panel, and Bishop, and Pastor Sammy, everyone. I am most known as a stand-up comedian. I've been doing that now for over 20 years. I'm a lot older than I look, because black don't crack. But these knees do. Anyway. Okay, last night I was like, I'm not voting with these kids. That's what I'm most known for, but I am also a film producer. I produced several films, most recently B-Boy Blues.
Yeah.
And
let's just give it up for B-Boy Blues.
It is. And other films and other projects, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, okay, good. This working. What's good, y'all? How y'all feeling this morning? I am Phillip Johnson, or as most people in the room would probably know me as Phillip, and I'm a filmmaker, producer, actor, writer, and yeah, what else should I say? I'm from Detroit. I live in LA.
Nice.
Hey, what's up? Good morning, everyone. My name is Ken Mosley. I'm an actor, producer, writer, creative director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Good morning, everybody. Take us
You gotta turn it over.
Hello.
Yeah.
Here we go. What's up? Good morning, everybody. I'm Jay Penn. I'm a writer, producer, director from Chicago, living in LA.
Awesome. Let's just give another round of applause.
As artists, there's bigger projects, but with those, a lot of the times, it takes more time, more patience, more money. So as artists, if we're doing other things, to just be writing and seeing a project all the way through, it's nice along the road while those bigger projects are in the works, just to have that gratification. And so, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a big deal because a lot of us creatives just sit there and overthink, and whatever our vision is, if we don't feel like we can produce that, then it's like we don't want to produce nothing, but you do have to start somewhere. I'm a big proponent of training, and so sometimes we do just get started writing, but we don't know anything about format, we don't know anything about structure, story structure, and that kind of thing, and I think it's important to connect to people who do, and to also take classes, whether they be free. YouTube is an abundance of training in terms of just the smaller basics that you need in order to write something that'll also get noticed, because a lot of times we do just get started, we jump in and we have the tools, we have media in our hands at all times, but then in order to get noticed, we in some ways do have to follow a certain structure and format, and so that's when I just pull on the training and the networking for that.
How has the rise of the influencer and social media impacted you guys? Has it been positive? Has it been negative? Or has it, just been nothing for you guys? I know you have different journeys, so how has social media impacted your careers?
I'll kick it off. Social media for me started off as a struggle because you get to see all these people doing all the things you want to do. And then you start to make these judgments, and you don't even really know what their journey was, but it looks seamless and like they just pop out of nowhere. And so you kind of have to learn how to turn social media off internally and physically, so you can get to what your journey is, because everybody's journey is different, and I'm still learning that. But then some people will inspire you, and you don't feel the whole judgment thing of it. So when I got to start seeing Issa Rae pop off, that was inspirational for me. Her whole journey from Aqua Black Girl on through up until now, that was inspiring, not threatening.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? Well, I'd love to hear from all.
Well, since I started my artistic career, I guess a few years ago now, I have just always looked at social media as just something to somewhat help the artistry in the career, basically. So I just have tried to utilize the fact that social media is here, since with 30 years ago, we wouldn't even have the opportunity to like distribute and show anybody any art unless we had that gatekeeper in the industry giving us the green light. So I think it's so good that us as creatives get to just release our work and market our work and have, some of that ownership and power over our artistry and helping people see our stuff. So.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Well, I'm from the old school. I think Ken said it too. You believe in rehearsing and, really spending a lot of time working on what it is that you're doing. Because I think an audience can tell how much work you put into what you're presenting to them. And even though we're in an age now of, instant gratification and all this different content media, I still know that an audience appreciates quality work.
Yes.
Me personally, I came up during a time where you had to, for me doing comedy, that's how I started, you had to take your VHS tape and you had to send it in a little brown envelope to BET and hope they called you back or wrote you back or whatever. And so, like I heard a couple times here on the panel, we live in a time now where you just see people on the internet do something real stupid, like put on a wig and drink some dish detergent, do some jumping jacks and a backflip down the steps, and they get 5 million views, and they're on all these shows you've been trying to get on, all these, magazines, and I don't know, I think you see these people get, and it's not the fame, I never cared about fame, I've cared about excellence, but it's like hard to see people throw their attention to that versus, you out actually putting something together and you have to like win people's attention.
Yes.
That, I was kind of taken aback by that, but you see these people, a lot of them do get to the comedy clubs. They don't know how to put on a show. They can't stand in front of an audience for an hour. Or, and you have to cultivate skills. You have to have really firm roots, and that's the difference between really taking the time to work on your craft, learn your craft, and don't rush what it is that you're doing versus getting everything overnight because you haven't learned any skills and how to navigate what that
Hardest know that you got in your career.
I'm sure this is not the hardest one I've gotten. Well, I'm sure this is not the hardest one I'm gonna get, but before I started working with iElevate on my new project, I had pitched it to I don't even know what she's connected to, but I know she owns her own production company, and I was hoping to not only get feedback for her, but for her to kind of be moved by what I did, and her response to it was kind of like, oh, this is cute, ... And for me, it was kind of like, oh, okay. And you kind of have to gauge that as well, because then you start thinking to yourself, well, maybe I'm not as talented as I thought I was. Maybe the story is not as thought-provoking or moving as I intended for it to be. So, I was tough.
Yeah, that is very hurtful. I've gotten that tons of times. Anyone else? What's the most difficult no?
Well, you get different kinds of no's. I think the hardest no's have come from, and this usually happens, the people that I know, family, certain friends who dismiss what it is that you're doing. And, you would see them support other people doing similar things to what you're doing, but when you're doing it, it's like they kind of dismiss it. No, I don't think that's a good idea. No, I've never seen you doing that, even though it's something you know that you have always wanted to do. And what I find is usually you will get that from people who don't have the courage to do it themselves, because it takes a lot of courage.
That's good.
And also, I have been called to read for almost every show that's on TV or been on TV. I haven't gotten any of them, and that's really cool. It lets me know how awesome I am. And there's that. But I think the hardest and we'll probably end up talking about this later. There have been people who've been in opportunities to help me, like other Black gay creatives, producers, studio executives who know what my story is, who know what I've been doing, who had the opportunity to give me a hand up, and they intentionally did things to kind of shut me down. It's not so much a no, but it is. But it teaches you, let's go ahead and get into it. it teaches you how important it is to support the work that you see other people are doing. That was the lesson in that. I don't think it's failure is not final. You know, I think you should embrace failure. That's why I'm up here, because I have failed over and over and over and over and over again. And when you do fail, those are really little successes, because you're like, wow, I did that. Okay, so what did I learn from this? And to give a quick reference, so I've never had good aim. And so, and that, you know, because I grew up without a daddy. So that's why that kind of, because I remember my mother used to always tell me,
Ones where you almost get it. You know what I mean? It's like you're almost there. I had written this pilot and was in talks with this media mogul, and it got really far. The man that was running his TV division was this white man from NBC who had won Emmys for like ER. And he was like, this is the best thing I've seen written in a really long time. You just need to change this, and that's fine. We'll get it to the head guy. So I did exactly what he said, got it to him, and then the man got me too. So his whole outlet kind of got shut down, you know, and it wasn't because necessarily my content, or it was just circumstance, you know what I mean? But that directed me to shoot it myself, you know, and though it hasn't gone necessarily where I thought it would go, you know, every time we make a single or a record, we're like, we're going to get a Grammy, you know what I mean? Every time you write a script, you're like, Oscar, it's happening, you know what I mean? But I think it's going to do what it's sent into the earth to do, you know what I mean, when you complete it and you put it out there. But it's those small, and this is an industry that's a continuous job interview, so it's always a no, more than it is a yes.
Yeah, I really liked what they said about how some of your biggest no's can be redirections, because the first thing I thought of when I thought of the most annoying no that I received was, so a couple, or I guess a few years ago now, a white company had reached out to me, wanted to work together and develop one of my projects. And what happened afterwards basically was that then they were like, no, we don't like this concept, or we don't like anything about it. We want you to make this kind of in this narrow box of what we see as black gay life or black gay art. And so after reaching out to me to work on this project, then they said, no, your artistry is not what, you know, we want to do. And so that was hard for me, because, you know, just as a young artist at the time they reached out, like, I mean, I probably was only 24, 25 then, I wasn't confident enough in myself to know, oh, although they're saying no, you should still do this. So at some points, I was like, you know, I didn't have the strength to stand up and be like, no to their no, and then just walk away. But then eventually I did, and like, it's honestly been so blessed ever since. But yeah, that was a very hard one for me, because it took me a long time to then say no back to them.
And in today's media, we do see a lot more than we've ever seen before. But do you still feel like there's a hole in the industry? And how do you feel that?
yes, there's a lot more representation, and representation is great, but I think it's also important to have quality. I was having a conversation here with someone last night, and we were talking about that. Yes, we're seeing a lot more black gay productions, but we don't need to be screwing on all of them all the time. That's what Twitter is for. You know, we want to see some Academy Award-worthy work by black queer people.
Yes.
And I think that it is important that we hold ourselves to that standard. There needs to be a standard. You can't just be slapping stuff together. And yeah, and that also involves learning the business more. And where you aren't learning what hasn't been working, also create your own rules is important.
I think we have to be careful just in general as any sort of marginalized people, right? Like when I first moved to LA, I started auditioning. Me, as you look at me, was getting called in for thug role after thug role. And I was like, I went less then than I do right now. But how? You know what I mean? It was thug role or security guard. Thug role, security guard. Thug role, security guard. Then the tide kind of changed. It was like, oh, gay best friend. Gay best friend. Funny gay best friend with no life, no no existence outside of popping a joke and running in and out. And so, yes, things are evolving, and in ways we have to say, yeah, we're being seen more. But the question is not the what, it's the how are we being seen.
Yes.
The Black experience is not monolithic. The queer experience is not monolithic. And so just because you're getting offered this opportunity, how do you want it to be represented in all of its layers and flavors and color? Because you have to not just look at this moment for yourself, you have to look at the door that is opening for the next person, so that they're not always like being brought in for whatever that trend is right now. It has to be something that shows variety, and it shows that we are actually people. The reason why there's so many white movie stars is because they all have different things that they bring. But if we all get brought into this one keyhole, it's great, but then we need and want more, which is why ownership. We gotta be able to own and do our own.
That's right. See, and that is actually the point that I was about to bring up, the ownership. I would say that while we're having more and more representation, for a lot of those projects, some of the times, it's not Black gay men who are on the ownership side. We may be on the talent side, maybe on the storyline side, and even for the talent, they might just go ahead and cast the straight actor for the gay roles, but on the ownership side, there's definitely not a lot of Black gay men. And so I agree that, like, for that, I believe more change will come when we have more and more of us on that ownership side, because then instead of it being a white exec or whoever approving, you know, what should be in the Black gay storyline or Black gay art, it'll be the people who have lived it, so they'll actually be able to be authentic. So
I'm gonna put a point in that real quick. A part of ownership also involves understanding how business works and how money works. Okay? Because it's show business. I'm gonna say this, I own all of my projects. So every time somebody streams it, thank God they send me a check. And that's what we have to do with our projects.
I agree with everything y'all just said. Specifically, like the evolution of the Black gay man in Hollywood or within scripts and stuff like that. Like that was really like the fuel in my fire to create the series I'm creating with iElevate now. I really wanted to see. I wanted to see on paper what my friendships look like in real life. And I feel like the Black men that I associate myself with or that I've just encountered in my adulthood, it's so many different colors. So like there's range to being gay, if that makes any sense. And I don't see that range in television. And so I really wanted to kind of create something that at least spoke to some of the characters that I see within my life and how they show up and how they pursue love and how they pursue friendships with each other. Because you don't see that a lot. You get to see this very nuanced view of the gay Black man, either being super feminine, which is nothing wrong with that either, or not really valuing friendships, or not valuing self, or not even really know how to navigate within love. And so I wanted to show all of that, and it's, you know, in its entirety. And so I'm inspired by the lack of in the industry right now.
If you have an idea, if you have something burning inside of you, we have a way for you to submit your ideas after we do the non-disclosure, because I'm all about business. So I want to make sure your idea is protected and we are protected, but we are here to help make amazing content. Films, podcasts. Thank you for that club. Now, my last question for you guys is, because I'm a big dreamer, what is your dream project to do? What would that be?
gosh, honestly, every single project I create really would be the dream one to make. I don't even have favorites, really. I have a whole lot in development that are created and not seen yet that I couldn't even choose one.
Nice. That is a beautiful place to be. Anyone else? What do you want to create?
I think my dream is just to be able to create what I want whenever I want to.
That
and
is
have the
amazing.
wherewithal to bankroll and to employ other Black people and to just make beautiful, wonderful art for that moment and to be able to move on to the next one and then to help other people create theirs.
Yes.
I completely agree. I think my dream is to have the resources to produce the quality that y'all were just talking about. I think there's also some stigma that goes along with Black gay content as well, like that it's always like C-level material, and I don't think that has to be true. I think if you have the resources you need and you have the people around you, you can absolutely create something epic that's Emmy or Oscar worthy. And so I think that's my goal, to just keep creating quality content that inspires the next wave of like creators.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll make 2 quick points. One of them is that there is some really amazing Black gay content out there, but we have to treat it the way we treat stuff that we don't like. When we don't like something, we get on Twitter and we drag it.
Oh, that is a great point.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about, and sometimes even if we do like it, we'll still throw some shade, you know. But basically, treat the stuff that you like, give it the same passion that you do to the stuff you don't like. So if you see something that's really good, some really great Black gay films on Amazon Prime, I got 2 of them on there, but there's some other ones on there. Tweet about them, say, hey y'all, check this movie out, and like start conversations about it. It's really important because those clicks and all that type of stuff, that stuff equals money, and this industry is an attention-based economy. And so we have to show up for Black gay creatives, Black gay art, politicians, churches, all the things, conferences, apps, you know, the way we do for people who we love, but who only show up when it's time to get paid from us. We gotta be in here whether we get paid or not, because this is our community. And so I think that that's important. From there, my big goal is to just keep creating work that is top tier, the best of the best.
Yes, yes, yes. One of the things that we're really passionate about doing here at iElevate is making sure that we have opportunities for creatives to learn. Not just a platform, but what a DP is, what are the skills, what's a gaffer, why do you need a gaffer, how do you budget, how do you market, which is so important. I think YouTube University is an amazing way to start, but also ask questions and get in front of people and learn, because the more, and read books. The more that we increase our level of excellence, and it's not just for someone else to say we're good, but we deserve amazing content as well.
That's right.
You know, I say an indie project doesn't mean indie acting. You know, it doesn't mean indie sets. These are things that we can work on if you know what to do. So I would love for you guys to just tell everyone where they can follow you, how they can reach you, how they can support your projects.
How will I start? I'm on OnlyFans, no, I'm just playing.
Oh my God.
So I'm on Twitter too, but I think Instagram is the best way. Is at Samson McCormick. So right here is just my name at Samson McCormick.
Social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or wherever at Phillip up there right now. Email phillipfilms@gmail.com. And yeah, just check it out, and it'll be projects flowing, some things for iElevate too. Yes. And with these gentlemen up here, though, great creatives. Let's give a round of applause for them.
You can reach me Instagram, Twitter. Basically, everything is Ken Mose. It's just the first 3 letters of my first name, first 3 letters of my last.
Awesome. Thank you.
You can reach me on Instagram at DJPenn, so TheeJayPenn. And then Loving Us will be out on iElevate later this year, probably like fall. Great working out. Take some time to say that, like Pastor Sunny has been amazing. John has been amazing. Everybody I've encountered here has just been great and supportive. So thank you, everybody.
Awesome. And you can follow iElevate plus DPE on Instagram at iElevate plus TV. Let's give it up one more time for these